guys, welcome to my channel, my reading corner. My name is Tumi and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Like you too. Alright, so in this video I'm going to be talking about my favorite author, right? I've been so excited to do this particular video because I really am a fan. Right, and I'm sure you can see the books right now. So my favorite author is Paulo Coehlo, and I don't know, the reason why I just love this guy is just the journey that his books are able to take you on, you know. I really just like just the spiritual journey and just the spiritual quest that you go on with each book, right? And so when I first started reading him, I never thought about issues of spirituality and all of that. But I started reading Paulo Coelho's books, and my gosh, I was just so at awe about the things that I always discover about myself whenever I read these books, and they take me on such a deep spiritual journey. And his books are so easy to read. I think for the most part, I think if it takes me long to read the book, it's because I'm busy with other things. But literally, these books are super easy to read. So I started with The Witch of Portobello, which I was given to or borrowed. My friend borrowed it to me, and that was my introduction to Paulo Coelho. And so The Witch of Portobello, yes, I said the name. So that book was all about a girl, if I remember correctly, right? A girl who was pregnant and in the Catholic Church, you know, and unmarried, pregnant Catholic Church, especially in those days. What's the right word? You will be shunned, but it just doesn't happen, right? So obviously she would be cast out and all of that, and then she started learning about spirituality and gypsies, and because she started having these like a spiritual awakening and discovery, and so she went on that journey. And I think for me, just going into just reading that book and discovering yourself, you know, that is what that book did for me. And I think from then on, I started thinking differently about myself, about my journey, about my own life, you know, because at that stage, I feel like I was at the point where typically as a young adult, I think I was 21-ish, no, 20-ish, I think I was 20, 19, 20. I think at that point you start to think about who you really are. You actually come into the person that you are. So I liked that book. I'm gonna try and make sure that I don't ramble a lot, because I fear I do that a lot when I speak about Paulo. I'm drinking gin. It's a concoction that I really love. I usually drink this in the morning. So it's lemon, of course, garlic, fresh garlic, and ginger, and some honey. Helps with my throat. Right, so that's The Witch of Portobello. The Alchemist. So this is my collection. I've got 8 books now. I think it's half of the books that he's written so far. I've still got a long way to go, but yeah. Anyway, these are the 8 that I've got. So this is new. Yay! This is new. I bought this yesterday. I don't know when I'll post this video, but I bought this the day before I shot this video. The Warrior of Life. Manual of the Warrior of Light. I don't know what it's about, so I can't tell you anything about this. But I'll talk more about it in my Feb wrap-up. Of course, most of us, even if you're not a Paulo fan, you have read The Alchemist. I am currently rereading The Alchemist. I've had this book for I think 10 years now. I think I'm reading it for the 7th time, and yeah, I feel like every time, okay, maybe not 7. Maybe not 7. Probably 5. So I feel like each time I read this book, I I discover something new. And although this time, as I read it, I'm almost done with it. Yeah, I think I'm left with just this much. Every time I read this book, I discover something new, right? But this time I really struggled to read it. But obviously, we know that, well, let me not say obviously. The Alchemist is about a boy who goes out in search of his journey, no, in search of his treasure, only to find that his treasure is where he started, So it just basically says that your treasure is right within you, it's in your heart. But the main thing is follow your passion, follow your dream, and don't many of us tend to be cowards when it comes to following what we really want to do. Instead of going out and seeking our treasure, we would much rather stay where we are, where it's predictable, we know what's happening and all of that. So this book is all about that. I like this. This is his #1 bestseller, but this is not his first book. I also read Brida. I love Brida. Like this is such I want to say an innocent book, but there's no innocent book with Paulo, right? But it's just a very, very moving and beautiful story about love, about passion, about mystery, about spirituality, about finding your soulmate. I really started to understand the whole concept of a soulmate while reading this book, and I actually realized that I actually do believe in soulmates, and I actually do know who my soulmate is, and I'm happy that I met my soulmate. Anyway, the book, so this is Brida, and she goes on to that journey. So she meets a man and a woman who are both spiritual teachers, and they help her, or they help her on her spiritual journey, on this journey to finding her own spirituality, I guess. So I think this is also a great book about overcoming your fears, but mostly about finding the one you truly love and your soulmate, and the difference, because sometimes there's a difference between the person that you love and the person that is your soulmate, according to Paulo and the rest of us who believe in soulmates. So Brida, love this book. Then we've got The Pilgrimage. This was actually his first book, and this is a book where he really talks about himself. So there are pieces of Paulo in each and every one of his book, but this is the book about himself, and this is the first book that he wrote, and this is where he takes this pilgrimage from Santiago. No, where does he start? No. So it's to Santiago. So he starts in Spain, and then he's going to Santiago, and on this journey he learns a lot about himself. He discovers himself. What else? He's guided by, they call them, what do they call them in the book? But anyway, this is a companion that you go on the journey with, and then we see him going through a series of trials and tests. And I mean, at one point he met somebody who he calls the devil himself, and he goes through various challenges that he has to go through in order to get to Santiago. So I think this is a great book, especially if you want to, did I say especially if you want to learn more about Paulo Coehlo. I really love this one. Yeah, The Pilgrimage. I know if you're Muslim, then the journey you take is it the Haji? Yeah, so it's something similar to that. Then there was Aleph. So I read Aleph in 2017 when I was about to get onto a train ride from Johannesburg to Cape Town. So this is 1,600 kilometers. It's a very long ride. When you read on the website, it says 28 hours. It is not. It is much, much more than 28 hours. I think it took us about 35 hours because it's a train. There are delays and all of that. So I read this, and the reason why I read this book is I wanted to know if I'll be able to survive that long on a moving train. This is me who had like a fear of trains her entire life. I had never, ever been on a train my entire life. And the first time I got on a train and I was going on a train ride was this long ass train ride. It was a business trip. I was going to get money. And so you pay me any amount and I'm sure I'll get over most fears. But yeah, that is when I read this book. So I needed to read it to find out whether I'll be okay. Do people not die? What is the experience of being on a train? Okay, maybe not die. Okay, maybe that's a bit exaggerated. But you get my point. So this is Paulo who feels that he needs to go into his past life, one of his past lives. So if you read Paulo Coehlo's books, you'll know that he talks a lot about people having lived past lives, right? So he has something that's bothering him in his current life, and he thinks that if he goes into that past life, he will be able to deal with this thing that's bothering him. And the thing that is bothering him is that he how do I put it? He didn't make a mistake, but he did something that affected a few people in that past life, and now going on to this journey will offer him an opportunity to apologize to those people which he hurt in that past life. And of course, one of the ladies that he goes on the train ride with is the lady who in that past life was there and he wronged in that past life. So it's a very beautiful book. I really love it. You don't have to believe in these past lives and whatever to enjoy this book, but I really, really love this book. Veronica Decides to Die. This was the first time I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh, okay. Paulo, I know I love you, but no, right? When I started the book. But then I ended up enjoying it, and it's such an easy read. You can read it in one sitting. Took me 4 because I was on holiday. So I was busy swimming. Anyway, so Veronica Decides to Die is a book about a young lady. I think she's between 19 and 21 who decides or who feels like she has really lived as long as she could have. She has seen all that life could show her. She has learned everything that life could teach her. And so there's nothing more to live for. And she decides to commit suicide. So she does. I don't remember how she did it. Did she take pills? I think she took pills. But lo and behold, she did not die. Instead, she woke up and she was in a mental asylum. And she goes through things in there, and that is where her journey in the mental asylum is where I stopped being annoyed and I started enjoying the book, because did I read this on holiday or did I read this on holiday? Never mind. So anyway, so her journey in the mental asylum is when she really started discovering a lot of things. She found love and all of that. There was, I have a favorite character in the book, which I think is Paulo. Remember I said in each book there's snippets of him in the book. So this is a snippet of him. Remember, if you know his life story is that his parents once had him admitted into a mental institution, I think more than once, because what he wanted to do was not really in line with what was acceptable at that time. So yeah, so he meets this boy who is in there, and boy, he's really good on the piano, and she seduces this boy. They are really, I think this is the first time. This is the first. No, it's not the first time where he gets very sexual. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So the lessons that she learns about life and that life is really worth living in this book. So I really enjoyed Veronica Decides to Die. I'm going to talk about adultery. I'm going to save my favorite book for last. And this is in no particular order except for the last book. And then adultery. Right. So a lot of people were not happy with this lady in the book, Linda. Her name is Linda. So I think what I liked, okay, before I get to what I like. So Linda is married. She's got like the picture perfect life. She's married, great career. Her husband also is very successful, doesn't cheat on her. I think they've got kids. Yeah, I think they've got 2 kids. So she feels like she's stuck in a rut. She's stuck in her life and nothing really is happening and she's losing herself, whatever. And then her life is boring, her life has no meaning. I feel like Linda's having a midlife crisis. So she decides to go and have an affair. Coincidentally, she meets with a guy that she went to high school with, and I think she had a crush on him, or they had some little thing in high school. I can't quite remember. And now we go into this journey of how Linda loses herself in order to discover herself. I personally enjoyed that book. I saw a lot of people not very happy with the process of like how she decided to get out of this midlife crisis. Like, you know, why do you have to involve other people, whatever. But I feel like this was such a good book, very refreshing. I like reading about things that go against what society deems proper, you know. So I liked this book, and I went on the journey with Linda, and I was like, you go, Linda. I mean, it is questionable. I mean, we don't have to all agree with how she decides to go and find herself, but nonetheless, Linda. I loved Adultery. Yeah, I think I've read it like 3 times, and I enjoy it every time. And finally, I always thought this book was big. It's really not that big. Anyway, finally, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is it the Zaheer or the Zaheer? But this is my ultimate favorite book, right? And this is a book about going in search of your loved one, all right? So, again, this is Paulo. So he is married to this woman and they don't have children, again, which I think that I can't quite confirm whether it's his life, but when I read about his personal life and just this book, I really do feel like this is a story about his life, where he is or where he was at the time he wrote this book. So he's married to her. I mean, he is a serial cheater, but like they might as well have an open marriage because she doesn't really make a big deal out of it. And then one day she decides to leave and goes wherever. It's not very new that she's leaving because I think she's a journalist, her wife. The wife I think is a journalist or he's a journalist. I don't know. But it's not very rare that she has left. But when he finally realizes that it seems like this person might have left me, so he goes in search of her, and what he discovers about his love for her, he didn't realize that he actually was with his soulmate, and soulmate, love the topic, and that he really took their relationship and their love for granted. So I love this book. It's a beautiful book about love. And then I have to mention 11 Minutes, which I don't have. So I don't have The Witch of Portobello and I don't have 11 Minutes, but I've read them. I read 11 Minutes online, as an ebook. I read it as an ebook. And that one I really, really enjoyed because that is a book about a woman who, I can't remember if it's a decision that, I think she made the decision to go and become a sex worker. And the liberty, she meets one of her clients, she meets this one client who likes BDSM stuff, right? And the book just talks about how she discovers sexual freedom, sexual liberty. And I loved that book because that was also a discovery for me. And I was like, this is such a beautiful book. Let's stop looking at sex and BDSM in this shady way. But it's a form of expression, and sex is really a form of expression. So I really, really, and sorry for the PG stuff here, but I really, really enjoyed that book, like I did with all his books. So technically I've read 10, but I only own 8. Yeah. And so that's my favorite author, Paulo Coehlo. I'm going to leave a link to my Facebook page, also called My Reading Corner, which I wrote about this guy. I think I wrote this post was in 2019, but I'll put a link to that page. And once you're on that page, you will bump into reviews where I talk about some of the books. I know there's a review of Adultery. There's a review of Veronica Decides to Die. I think there's a review of Aleph. I didn't get around to writing all of them. But yeah, there's a review of The Pilgrimage. So yeah, I'll leave the link to my Facebook page, and then you can follow that. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I really hope you consider subscribing, liking. The kind of me would really hope you do, but the more aggressive me would say just subscribe and like and share. And yeah, let's also talk in the comments. Have you read any of these books? What do you think of Paulo? Because I feel like most people either love him or they don't, because they disagree with his opinions and all of that. So let me know where you fall, and let's have a nice discussion there in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Cheers.